This week we've had some brilliant goals, fantastic moments and controversial refereeing decisions across the Champions League, Europa League and Championship. But now it's time to turn our attentions back to the Premier League because we've got a big weekend of fixtures. Not many teams still have something to play for this season, but those who do, the prizes up for grabs are massive. And they've only got 3 games to go and do it. Now, before we get into the fixtures, let's take a quick glance at the Premier League table, starting with the race for European football. Arsenal looking over their shoulders as Manchester City are just 3 points behind them on 64 points. Newcastle and Chelsea also currently in the Champions League spots, both on 63 points. Nottingham Forest only drew away to Crystal Palace on Monday. They are on 61 points and Aston Villa are 7. But they're only 3 points behind Newcastle and Chelsea. And of course, on the final day of the season, Nottingham Forest play Chelsea at the City Ground. So we could have a Champions League playoff game between those two teams. So it's all to play for in the race for European football. And now, as we know, because of the Europa League final, Man Utd or Spurs will be playing Champions League football next season. So England will have 6 teams playing Champions League football. Now, if Manchester City win the FA Cup, of course, then it means that 8th place will be Conference League football. So who is likely to get that? Well, at the minute, Bournemouth are sitting in 8th after their win away to Arsenal. Brentford have moved up to 9th after beating Manchester United, sitting on 53 and 52 points respectively. But Brighton are also on 52 points. However, their goal difference is significantly worse than Brentford and Bournemouth. Fulham have dropped down to 11th, but they're still only 2 points behind Bournemouth. So they're all in with a shout of finishing 8th, which could be European football. But what about the rest? What about the other 9 teams? Well, they're just trying to be a little less crap than the team above them. Because of Leicester City's win last weekend, Southampton are now guaranteed to finish bottom of the Premier League, but they still need that additional point to avoid equaling Derby County's record for the worst ever team in the Premier League. However, looking at the league table as it is, I think it's fair to assume Palace are likely to finish 12th and Wolves are likely to finish 13th. But between Everton and West Ham, it's all to play for, only 2 points separating the 4 sides. I would like to suggest they're all playing for pride, but I think that might be pushing it. Anyway, welcome to the Tartan Geo YouTube channel. If you're new around here, please do subscribe. And thank you to everyone who has subscribed this week. And welcome. Before we get underway, can you please do drop a like on the video by clicking the thumbs up button. It's free, takes 2 seconds and helps the channel out. 10 fixtures to get through. I'm going to kick it off, as always, in order by going to Craven Cottage as it's Fulham against Everton. 3 losses in 4 for Fulham. Now, they are not good form. The one that they didn't lose was a late winner away to Southampton as well. Coming up against Everton, 1 win in 10 after throwing away a 2-0 lead against Ipswich Town last week. Everton have drawn 15 games in the league this season, which is the most since Sunderland back in 2014-15. They drew 17 games, which is a record for a side. So Everton could potentially equal or even better that record if they were to draw at Craven Cottage. Marco Silva and David Moyes have a very similar record. They played 6 games head to head, each won 3 apiece. I think Marco Silva may take the lead on this one. Everton, I'm surprised how their season has fizzled out. They had their new manager bounce when David Moyes went back in, accumulated a lot of points, didn't just get away from the relegation zone, they zoomed away from it. And I just thought, with it being Goodison Park's final season, that would keep them going. But momentum's just dropped off completely. Still got their final home game, of course. But for this one, Fulham have to win. They absolutely have to. A lot of speculation around Marco Silva's future. I do think he'll be able to put that to one side, don't get the job done. I'm going to say Fulham 1, Everton 0. Then we're off to Portman Road as Ipswich take on Brentford. Just 1 win at home all season for Ipswich Town. That's been their biggest issue. I don't think it's been away from home. It's at home. I think when you get promoted, you want to make sure that you're picking up most of your points on home turf. They've not done that. They've failed to do that. Coming up against Brentford, who have won 6 of their last 8 away games, scoring 10 in their last 3. Not only that, all their strikers are scoring. Wissa's scoring, Shada's scoring, and Bomo's scoring. It's difficult to see past a Brentford win here. As we've just seen with the league table, they are really aggressively driving towards 8th. There's a chance of European football at Brentford next season. I covered it last week. I called it. I said I think they might do it. They got the win against Man U. I think they're going to get the win again. I'm going to say Ipswich Town 1, Brentford 3. Southampton coming up against Manchester City. The Saints, who've got 2 points in 12 games, coming up against Man City, who've won 7 of 8. They're sort of powering at the minute. Only 3 points behind Arsenal. They could still finish out of that Champions League spots, although it feels like we've now got 3 of the 5 with Liverpool, Arsenal and Man City. It's just a case of who's taking the other 2. Arsenal will be keeping an eye on City. You don't want to finish behind them because I think even up until a week ago, I think the general consensus would have been Arsenal's had an okay season. It's not been terrible. Man City have had a poor season. Yet we're now looking at the possibility that Arsenal finish 3rd or 4th in a 2-horse race, a bit like what the North London neighbours did not too long ago. Usually I'd say, well, what's Man City's motivation? They look motivated at the minute, but they've got that FA Cup final. They're going to want to keep momentum going. They look like they've just got this motivation from somewhere in the league, which I think is quite remarkable when you consider the standards of City. I naively thought that if they can't win the league, they might not be too fussed. It doesn't appear to be like that. Haaland's back as well. De Bruyne looks like he's showing up for his farewell at City. It's hard to see anything other than a comfortable away win. I'm going to say Southampton 0, Manchester City 3, and the De Bruyne testimonial to continue. Wolves coming up against Brighton. Obviously, Wolves won 6 in a row before going to the Etihad last week and losing 1-0. But they were unlucky. Hit the post on a couple of occasions and a really bad pass from Bellegarde to Menezes, which would have allowed him just put it into the back of an empty net. Coming up against the Brighton side, who, form-wise, it's not that bad. Well, it depends how you want to look at it. 1 win in 7 or 1 loss in 4. Both statistics are true. One looks good, sounds good. The other one, not so great. I'm going to use that phrase, I just don't trust them. Brighton, that is. Now, I'm perhaps being a bit unfair to Brighton here because I did not see their game against Newcastle. I've obviously seen the highlights, but that I don't like judging a team or a game based on the highlights package. It's not fair and it's not true. So Brighton could have played superb for 90 minutes and been unlucky, and I thought they were unlucky not to receive a penalty in that game. But it won't change my opinion on Brighton because they drew at home to Newcastle. So I'm going to say on this one, 2-1 Wolves. Bournemouth against Aston Villa. Now, I'm really looking forward to this game. I'm glad I can watch this game. When I look at the fixtures ahead of a weekend, there's always 1 or 2. I think, I would love to see that game. Bournemouth Villa is one of them. The other one is Newcastle Chelsea, which I'll see the first half of. And then I've got West Ham stuff to do, which is frustrating. I would have liked to have watched the entire game of that one. But Bournemouth, Aston Villa. Villa have lost 9 times this season. 8 of them have come on the road. They're not particularly good away from Villa Park. Villa Park is a fortress, but they're not playing at Villa Park on Saturday evening. They're at the Vitality. However, Emery has a fantastic record against Areola. He's never been beaten by him. 5 times they've come up against each other. Emery's won 3 and drawn 2 of those. But Bournemouth are now unbeaten in 5. They're starting to put form together. They've now got form. Unbeaten in 5, a couple of wins in there, winning away to Arsenal. That's form. That's what they needed. It's sort of come at the right time. The other thing with Aston Villa is they've yet to beat a side away from home in the league this season when coming up against a side who started the weekend in the top 8. Now, Bournemouth are 8th and they've just snuck into 8th. But that statistic is still true. But not only have they failed to win one, they've played 6 times, 6 away games this has occurred in, drawn 1, lost 5. It's not good numbers for Villa. It's good numbers for Emery against Areola, but not necessarily Villa going into this one. I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to say Bournemouth 1, Aston Villa 1. A result which doesn't really help either team. I think both of them need to win this one. Villa especially. Bournemouth might be able to draw and then go on and finish 8th. I'm not sure Villa can draw this and go on and finish 5th. I think they may need to win their 3 remaining games to get Champions League football. So Saturday is a huge, huge game for them. But I think this is the hardest game left. After they play Bournemouth, they've got Man United, then Spurs. It may not be now. It might be the other way around. My point is, they're coming up against the two teams for the Europa League final. They won't be arse. The team before the Europa League final and the team after the Europa League final. That's got to be 6 points. It has to be 6 points. So if they can win on Saturday night, I think they'll get 9 out of 9. Draw, Champions League, you're going to be praying other teams do you a favour. Villa fans must be nervous going into this weekend. Right then, off on to Sunday's games. I'm just going to get the West Ham one out of the way quickly. Is anyone arsed? Man U fans aren't arsed in the Europa League final. West Ham fans aren't arsed because we're not very good. We struggled. I say we struggled. We did okay against the Spurs B team. We just struggled to win the game. We didn't look like winning the match, but we also didn't look like losing the match. It was just a boring game. I'm not so sure we'll come up against Man U's B team. Ange Postecoglou made a load of changes because it was between semi-finals. I'm not sure we'll quite see that from Amorim. I think he'll bring plenty changes, but the players coming into the team will be Mason Mount after 2 goals and an absolute fantastic goal as well. Amad Diallo will come into the team probably. It's not the worst changes. Luke Shaw might come in. He's not bringing in untested players here. I'm going to say 1-1. I think it'll be another boring-ass game from 2 teams that can't be bothered and 2 sets of fan bases that also can't be bothered for different reasons. One is looking forward to a final. The other one is looking forward to the season finishing. Newcastle Chelsea, the 12 o'clock game on Sunday. It's a really nasty time for a game of football, isn't it? I don't like that. I don't like this game. 12 o'clock on a Sunday is not good. It shouldn't be a thing. Anyway, Newcastle against Chelsea. 7 wins in 9 for the Geordies. Won 5 in a row at St James's Park. Coming up against Chelsea, who ate without a win away from home before they beat Fulham. Sorry, I'm just reading my notes here. Before I do this show, I do sit down and do research and look at the team news and look at the statistics going into the game, look at the form and whatever. But then I have to write down, scribble it down. There is pen in between all that. There you go. Scribble it down. But sometimes, I've written, before we beat Fulham away, 8 WO win. So I'm like, what does that mean? 8 without a win, of course. So their last away game to beat Fulham, the 8 games before that, they hadn't won away from home in the Premier League. Obviously, through to the Conference League final where they come up against Real Betis. Unlike the Europa League, I now have a clear team that I can root for in the Conference League final. Come on, Pablo Finals and Adrian and Manuel Pellegrini. There's a lot of West Ham connections in that game. Newcastle, though, will be disappointed, should be disappointed, dropping points away to Brighton. I think Brighton, even though they were at home, might have been a happier team before the game. Which one would have been happier with a point? But I think Newcastle will easily win this game and turn this one round. They've got some tough fixtures on paper, but the context around the fixtures make it slightly easier. Coming up against Arsenal, not as hard as it was 3-4 months ago. I'm going to say 3-1 Newcastle on that one. Moving to the City Ground, Nottingham Forest, my word, they're the team that have to win as well. Coming up against Leicester City, 4 points from 5 games. Come on, Forest. I'm rooting for you. I'm really rooting for Forest. Outside the Champions League spots for the first time this season, I think. I mean, they probably were at the start of the season, but it feels like they've been in the top 3 all season, and now they're going into it. But I remember Sir Alex Ferguson always saying it's easier to do the chasing than it is to be chased. And I do wonder if there's an element of that with Nottingham Forest, because going into that game on Monday night against Crystal Palace, there was so much pressure on them to get the win. And I thought they were somewhat unlucky in some elements. I think a draw was a fair result overall. I think Palace might have been a slightly better side, but there's no excuse. If Nottingham Forest, they've got this far, they've done fantastically well over 35 games. When it comes to games like this, at home to Leicester City, this is where you just need to be You almost need like a killer instinct. You've just got to get the job done. Doesn't matter how, doesn't matter who. Yes, you want to play good football and win 2-3-0. It doesn't really matter. If you win 1-0 and have one shot on target all game, who cares? When that final whistle goes, the City ground will erupt and Nottingham Forest will have taken a step towards Champions League football with 2 games to go. And they know they play Chelsea in the final game. Let's just quickly glance at the league table again. And in theory, Nottingham Forest and Chelsea win both their games before match day 38. Forest will go into that game 2 points behind Chelsea. They know they beat Chelsea in the final game, they get Champions League football. It's in their hands. Win all 3 games, you get Champions League football next season. You've got to start on Saturday night up against Leicester, 1 point in 7 away games. Yes, they beat Southampton, but does it really count? Does it really matter? Not really. Not to me. Nottingham Forest 2, Leicester City 0 is my prediction. Then we've got Tottenham against Crystal Palace. 2 teams, eyes completely elsewhere. Tottenham will be looking at Bilbao. Palace will be looking at Wembley. I do think there will be a slight difference, though. I think Spurs, given that they've just come back from the Arctic Circle, I think there will be a lot of changes from them. Whereas Palace, I think it's a bit different. I think Glasner will be wanting to get a bit of momentum and a bit of form going into an FA Cup final. And I think they will win on Sunday. 1 point in 4 for Spurs, just 2 points in the last 5 games after a European game. Now, there is obviously context around that, which is some of those games are 2 legs, aren't they? So some of these games, like the one against West Ham, comes between 2 legs in the European football, whereas this one doesn't. It's come to conclusion. 2-1 Crystal Palace doesn't do anything for the league table whatsoever. And it's about these 2 teams now preparing for the final. Ange Postecoglou in the changing room was already speaking about how everything they do is now geared towards the final. There was no mention of Palace at the weekend. Normally we go again at the weekend, we've still got games to go. There was none of that. We've got a final to prepare for. It's almost like you almost wanted to say, I can't be bothered with the game against Palace. Understandably so. Keep your players fit, get them ready, and focus on the final. Both teams. Liverpool against Arsenal. This is going to be an interesting game. Not because of the possible outcome, but because of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously announced he's leaving Liverpool now, and his reception is going to be interesting if he plays him. I think if I was Arne Slot, I think I'd be not playing him in this game. I'd be playing Connor Bradley, and I wouldn't even put Alexander-Arnold on the bench just to protect him, really. I guess you could say, well, why protect him? It's his decision and whatnot. But I think, I mean, I'm doing it. I'm already guilty of it. I'm already looking at this game. Liverpool against Arsenal, first v second, I'm looking at it. About Trent Alexander, I'm almost not that bothered about the match and the result. It's insignificant. It's the story around Alexander-Arnold that is possibly going to be greater than the story around the match. So if I'm Arne Slot, I'm probably taking him out and putting Connor Bradley in there and just not letting it be a headline. His reception will be interesting. I think it will be somewhat mixed. I think some people will boo him and I think some people will clap him, and I think there'll be plenty in the middle as well. That's why I'm intrigued by it, just to see what it is. But in terms of the actual game, there's usually goals in this one. The last 2 or 3 games between these have had a minimum of 2 goals in the first half. Neither team are playing for anything. This game, do you know Nottingham Forest Leicester? There's a lot of reasons for it not to be fun, which is Nottingham Forest have to get the job done. Newcastle against Chelsea, that game could be really tight and cagey, nervous, understandable. But there's a few fixtures here where you're looking at it, right, and you think, there's no need for this game to be boring. This game could be fun. West Ham Man United, for example, there's nothing riding on it. Possibly the only game, actually. Fulham Everton, nothing riding on it. Well, they've got a chance of getting Conference League football, I suppose. But Liverpool, there's nothing here. It could be fun. I think it's going to be. I'm going to go for goals. I'm going to say Liverpool 3, Arsenal 2. I think we might just have a fun game of football. Lots of goals, little bookends, little action elsewhere. more, like I say, more action focused on the right back for Liverpool. Anyway, that's my predictions. I want you guys to get involved. In the description below is all 10 fixtures. Copy it, paste it into the comments. Give me your score predictions. It's just a bit of fun, nothing too serious. I don't hold you to it. However, you get a lot right. I'm more than willing to say congratulations. Well done on that one. You called that. But before you do go, please do subscribe, drop a like on it, and I'll be back on Monday morning with my review of all 10 games in the Premier League. They're squeezed in. There's no Friday night or Monday night games this week. They're all across Saturday and Sunday. So we've got a big weekend of Premier League football before we start turning our attention back to the playoffs. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me. Catch you in a bit.